Hello, good people, and welcome to the week two review, recap, and also the preview of week three of FPL. So, what happened this week? It was the big debate about whether to go for Aguero or whether to go for Salah. I'm an RN. There was a lot of Twitter talk, a lot of rumours, a lot of people in the know spreading rumours that were unsubstantiated. People went for Aguero, some people went for Salah. This guy went for Aguero, and it came up phenomenal because we got the juicy 40 points, which is always good. So let's just look at the team. You can see 78 points for this week. Not too bad. Could have been better, but I've been in this position before with significantly less points. Okay, so 78 for week two is absolutely brilliant. Gives me 166 points for my main team. As you can see, David De Gea, no clean sheet again. What was my thought process at the start of the season? I had Edison in every single draft, just like I had Madison and Aubameyang. And I've got a feeling those three guys are going to bite me on the ass. But we will see. I've got De Gea, only 1 point this week. Mendy come up good again. Another breathtaking performance by him. Likewise with Robertson. They're really the heart of my defence. Now, there was a few things that tripped me up in my teams this week. I've got two. I've got the secondary team, which is focusing more of a defensive policy. Real briefly talk about that in a minute. But Wan-Bissaka, everyone's favourite fullback in the Premier League, sent off. Can you believe it? -2 points. Very, very disappointing. Now you can see here that he's flanked by Tompkins. Now Tompkins, I hadn't selected to start, and he is because one of my big hitters did not play. And as you can see from my midfield, Alexis is missing. He did not feature, and it was a real kick in the gut that he didn't play there. Because I had a real good feeling that it was going to be a good week for him, and I actually debated whether to captain him this week, believe it or not. Man United's very disappointing week. Is kind of enhanced by the fact that Alexis was injured. He could have been the game changer. But as you can see in midfield, both Salah and Richarlison, they both come up with the good 9 points. So happy with that. Milivojevic gets me 2. Sitting in there, as I say, he's kind of a guy that is there for the duration. I'm not really going to be thinking about transferring him out. A bit like Mendy and Robertson, they're kind of in there for the long haul because I feel that they're going to get good points, good return over the course of the season. Then it's the rest of the players that we need to play with. Now up front, obviously, we saw the majority of my points, more than 50% of my points, came from Aguero. That phenomenal performance against Huddersfield. Yep, Huddersfield. Captained him, brilliant. He's flanked by Joshua King and Tosin, and both of them didn't really do anything. Now, I'm very, very disappointed, particularly in Joshua King. He was the last person for me to select in this team, and I feel like I made a mistake. I could have gone elsewhere, but I haven't, and I've got him, and now he's dropped in value, which is very disappointing. There's been a few players that dropped in value this week in this team. Joshua King dropped, Milivojevic dropped, Alexis dropped, and it really kind of put me in a bad position moving forward because last week I made a terrible decision to bring in Guendouzi. The explanation was that I had he was only 4.5, and I had another 4.5 Arsenal midfielder, Nelson, and I thought I'll just swap him out for someone who might play, just in case these guys don't play. And as you can see in my team, Peltier didn't play, Sanchez didn't play. If someone else hadn't played, I would have been looking at Guendouzi actually coming in this week. So anyway, I wish I hadn't done that now because it obviously limited my options moving forward. So moving, just looking forward at the fixtures, you can see that Cardiff and Newcastle drew blanks. We can see that Everton, Richarlison, Walcott got assists and goals there. And he's one of those players that he's a great fantasy player because he's kind of like another striker, a bit like Richarlison, how I spoke about last week, effectively being a striker in midfield. Walcott will get points, but it all depends on whether he plays, whether he gets a good run. He could just disappear into nothing. I think I had him towards the end of last season, and he was just point deficits. Now the second one was Leicester, and as we said, we saw Maddison getting the goals there. Someone that was in every one of my draft, and I kind of semi-wish that I'd brought him in instead of Milivojevic early on. But you live and you learn. Everyone that was getting on the hype train about Wolves, they lost 2-0, no points for their players. We saw Spurs, really they win 3-1, but they didn't really do a lot. They didn't really do a lot for a long portion of that game. It looked like Fulham were actually going to get something out of it. We saw Lucas Moura get a phenomenal left foot curler. Again, it was another one that I considered early on, and I thought was going to have a very strong start to the season because Son was out. We obviously saw Kane score in August, which was great for Spurs. West Ham lost again, which is not good for them, and the fact that as we said, Bournemouth, Joshua King did not get in the points. We saw Fraser getting the points. We saw Wilson getting the points. We saw Chelsea and Arsenal. Pretty interesting game that for the first about 60 minutes. Alonso in the points. Everyone was writing him off, but he managed to get forward, get goals and gets assists. Mkhitaryan, goals and assists. He looks like someone who's going to be very promising. Arsenal have got a very, very good run moving forward. City, obviously, our man Aguero got the assist. Everyone was saying that he wasn't even going to play. Mendy getting the 2 assists, so we've got those 2 strong guys. And then it was Man United, Pascal Gross getting a penalty kick, and that was really the difference in that game. United looked off colour. Before we got to Monday, where we saw Wan-Bissaka, the difference, basically getting sent off. 2 assists for Salah, to get some juicy points to everyone. So moving forward, like the decision I made, as I say, I wish I hadn't made that transfer last week for Guendouzi, but I have. It's a bit of a big problem because I would have probably gone for 2 transfers this week, but I haven't. I've gone for a bit of a knee jerk, and I've taken Alexis out. I can't risk him not playing again 2 weeks in a row, and I brought in Mkhitaryan. But the problem is I lost 0.1 on Alexis, and I had to spend an additional 0.1 on Mkhitaryan. So there's a deficit of 0.2. Very, very disappointing. And as I say, I have lost value on Milivojevic and King as well. Now, just to curse it, my second transfer would have been Danny Ings for Joshua King. But King is at home to Everton, but I have got the 2 other Everton guys there. I mean, this is the joys, the tribulations, the problems, the sleepless nights that we have with fantasy football. But there you go. So that's the transfer I've made. I've taken out Alexis for Mkhitaryan at home. Had to get an Arsenal cover. Now, my initial plan for this week was to take Ageuro for Aubameyang. So there you go. So you can guarantee Aubameyang is going to absolutely smash the house down this week. But hopefully Mkhitaryan will come good. And then possibly next week I will play my wild card. We'll have to think about that. I don't know, because this team, Mendy, Robertson, Salah, Richarlison, these are strong. It's, whether I can, change the rest of my team up. I have to give it some consideration. But anyway, that's what I've gone for. Peltier as the first sale, Guendouzi as the second. Now, my second team where we're focusing in on defence, only 52 points this week. Not brilliant, but, it showed promise. We saw Edison get the 5 points. Trippier get a goal for Spurs. He was out last week, come back this week. People were thinking about getting shot of him. He comes straight back into the team, straight in the goals. Brilliant for him. Points from Robertson, points from Mendy. Bellerin and Van Aanholt didn't really get us the points, but they're in there. Time will tell. As we see, Bellerin's got a very good run. Then we went for the midfield. Now, initially I had a 5-2-3 formation. Salah, Richarlison. Well, I actually brought in Richarlison for Pascal Gross last week. He wasn't, and Pascal Gross scores against United. Go figure. Anyway, we've got Neves came in off the bench because Rondon didn't score. He didn't play. I mean, I think that's very bizarre. I was assuming that Rondon would basically be the first choice for Newcastle United, and he would end up scoring quite a few goals. You know, his value at 6 million, I think, is good value if you can get a run of formula, particularly when you compare him to like Mitrovic, who is 6.5. I mean, that seems weird, doesn't it? But there you go. And obviously, I had Aubameyang, but my captain, Jamie Vardy, red card. Absolutely disaster area. And because of that, straight away, I went and did my transfer. And the transfer I went for was Morata. I decided I'd take a punt. Could be a risky one, but I feel he's going to be the first choice striker for Chelsea. And once he gets going, I think there's goals in him. I think Chelsea are going to get better and better. And that's what I've gone from. As you can see now, there's the 5-2-3. Rondon against Chelsea. You know, he's probably going to struggle. Probably won't feature. But we will consider, you know, making a change in this position next week if we have to. But as we spoke about last week with this team, it's effectively a 5-5. And 5 at the back who are all capable of getting goals and assists. And then we've got basically 5 strikers, you know, Salah and Richarlison are effectively strikers. So there we go, you know, the bench, Neves is the first choice midfielder on the bench. Let me know what you think about my teams. You know, going back to my main team, you know, have I made mistakes? I started very well, 166 points, very happy about that. Cannot grumble, but now I'm moving into a position where things are falling, it's crumbling, you know. Should I have gone with my gut? Time will tell. Jump down to the comment section below. We'll see you next week for next week's preview.